Special votes off to a good start in Botswana's capital, Gaborone. The IEC has refuted allegations of irregularities in the expatriate vote, saying claims the delivery process was flawed due to lack of understanding. Sentleeng Lehihi reports.
The electoral process kicked off in the Botswana capital, with police officers, among others, casting their special votes ahead of Wednesday's polls. Each ballot cast is accompanied by hope.
The reason why I've decided to vote is because as an employee of low salary, I need our salary to be adjusted.
But aspersions have already been cast on the credibility of the elections. This in the wake of alleged irregularities in the delivery of the expatriate vote.
It's very unfortunate that sometimes people tend to cast aspersions on a process when they don't exactly understand how it should happen, when in actual fact the law is very specific on how elections are conducted. If anybody can come up to challenge the contravention of sections of the electoral laws and how they should be implemented, I would listen. But if people talk from the position of the rumors that they hear, it's very unfortunate.
Registered voters are counting the days to the polls.
I've registered to vote and I want to participate in these elections. Like, I want to change the governance, The government is too slow for us.
It will be the first time I will be voting because I want to be responsible. I want to take part.
I intend to vote for the current government to continue because I believe the party's current leader has impressive plans and foresight.
Out of the 1.6 million eligible voters, only 925,000 have registered to vote. Sentleeng Lehihi, SABC News, Gaborone, Botswana.
The main opposition party in Botswana, the Umbrella for Democratic Change, says it is more powerful now and confident of victory come the elections on Wednesday. This despite the departure of the Botswana Movement for Democracy. The UDC is a coalition of three opposition parties formed before the 2014 general election. It went on to win a record 20 seats in the 57-seat parliament.
Umbrella for Democratic Change preparing for Botswana's hotly contested polls. Although UDC is a coalition of three opposition parties, it will have to face off against two more opposition parties that have joined the political landscape since its formation. The two are Alliance for Progressives and former Botswana President Ian Khama's Botswana Patriotic Front. The pair are likely to split the opposition vote. However, the UDC remains confident of victory.
We've become stronger. We've now become more refined, more resilient. We've responded decisively to these challenges.
The UDC has vowed to make significant social and economic changes.
We will create 100,000 jobs in 12 months because the situation is dire. We will pay our people a living wage of not less than 3,000 pula because their situation of poverty is also dire. We will give pensioners an old age pension of 1,500 per month because the abject poverty in which they live in an upper middle income economy is totally unjustifiable.
UDC supporters are confident their party will turn things around should it win the elections.
I'm ready to go and vote. The new party. The political party that I'm going to vote is the one that is going to advocate for 1.5 allowance for old age.
We want to go and vote the new government because this new government, it promises us good things.
This time, the Umbrella for Democratic Change goes to elections with former President Ian Khama as part of the opposition after breaking ranks with the ruling Botswana Democratic Party.
Our reporter Sentleeng Lehihi is in Gaborone, Botswana, and she now joins us live. Sentleeng, good evening and thank you so much for joining us on The Globe.
Good evening to you and our viewers. As you rightfully said, we're here in the Botswana state capital, Gaborone. We have seen today the beginning of special votes, which catered for police officers and IEC officials who will be working on the 23rd of October, which is Wednesday. They were given an opportunity to also partake in this democratic process, and some some way try to influence the outcome of the elections. I'll explain to you that, these elections that come here 2019 in Botswana are very pivotal because they will then be the right pronouncement of democracy in this country. You'll realize that since 1966, the BDP has been in power and has been, very predominant in politics here in Botswana. And now we've seen that since 2014, we've seen that opposition parties have been able to actually, tip the dominance of the BDP, particularly here in Gaborone. We've seen the UDC leader, Duma Boko, gain quite a large following in his constituency, allowing them to even gain some 20 seats in parliament. But to give you detail, this area is not the most contentious. The other area that is the most highly contentious is on the northbound side of Botswana. This area is where it is known as the dominance of former President Ian Khama. You must remember that this is an ace card. Ian Khama was the leader of the BDP. He has been leading for 10 years and he's also taken reins from the party that was formed by his father, Seretse Ian Khama. But since instilling and promoting Masisi to come into power, he has then, the rifts have in fact been created between their relation, where we have seen Ian Khama, vouch for opposition and distance himself from the BDP. You understand that where he comes from in Serowe, he's the paramount chief. This creates a significant problem for the BDP to try again, to try maintain that following that Ian Khama has had. We've seen as well that opposition parties have used Ian Khama's influence in that area to also try garner as much support as possible heading towards the elections on the 23rd of October. In the past week, we've seen expatriate votes also be cast in foreign countries where Botswana are actually residing. But with these expatriate votes, there have also been allegations of mismanagement, or irregularities in the bringing in of these ballot boxes from the foreign countries. There have been allegations that, it seems that some of these ballots did not arrive directly at the IEC and were in fact first hosted at some houses belonging to IEC officials before arriving there. Having spoken to the IEC to bring clarity about these irregularities, they claimed that there was nothing untoward about the process, and in fact all electoral laws had been followed. These are logistical issues that come through some officials arriving late because their flights arrived late and they wouldn't be able to drop those ballot boxes at the IEC officials as the appropriate securities would not be there at the time. They've explained to us in full detail that they have ensured that.
Sentleeng, when is the general voting commencing? You've given us details and background of, what to expect in terms of the elections going forward. But when is the voting taking place, the general voting commencing?
The countdown is on, 4 days to go. The general elections will officially be on the 23rd of October on Wednesday. We anticipate that polling stations will open as early as 6:30 and continue to open throughout the night to allow Botswana to come in their numbers and vote. We expect that perhaps after 7 o'clock, the counting of votes will then commence. We expect that because the number of registered voters has actually declined by 18%, the counting process will not actually take such a long time. We anticipate that by Thursday, we will know who will be in governance in Botswana.
Now, who are the front runners for these latest polls?
The competition is quite tight. There are four main parties who've got presidential candidates. BDP, which has Masisi. We've got the UDC, pardon me, which is headed by Duma Boko. We've got New Kid on the Block, which is headed by Bigi Butali. We've also got the Alliance for Patriotics, which is also a front runner in these elections. We understand that this is going to be quite a tough competition because of the support that the UDC has actually garnered in the past years. years, and also having, the support and backing of Ian Khama. This will be a very, very tight competition for the BDP. We'll see if indeed they will be able to keep their prominence as the leading party in this country.
Are all observers on the ground, and are all the plans all in place come the 23rd of October?
From my engagements with the IEC, we have been brought to understand that everything has been put in place. The I's have been dotted, the T's have been crossed. All the voting stations have been identified. The officials have been, they know exactly where they're going to be deployed. And it seems like, the ball is actually rolling towards the 23rd, the day of reckoning.
Now, Sentleeng, what's the feeling on the ground of Botswana? Are they looking forward? We saw earlier on in one of the clips where the people were saying that they're quite excited and are looking forward to casting their ballots. Have you managed to speak to other people and just finding out what their feeling is with regards to the elections coming up?
Most certainly, election fever is quite high here in Botswana. Those who have been willing to speak to us spoke outrightly that they have registered to vote. But they've registered to vote and want to participate in these elections for various reasons. Some say that it is time to change governance, bring a government that will institute change, instill some sort of development and opportunities for the youth, diversify the economy. While others are saying, hey, we are ready to back the BDP. We are actually very happy with the new president of the BDP. He seems to have better plans. He seems to have a forthright and outward-looking persona that may bring prosperity to this area. However, on sidelines, we have spoken, off-the-record conversations with some of those who have not registered, showing an absolute disinterest in this election process. This is quite pivotal because you'll understand that, as I said earlier, there's an 18% decline in voter registrations. This means that there probably is a lack of confidence in the democratic process and what it will and how rather it would benefit the people of this country.
Sentleeng, thank you so much for joining us this evening. That is our reporter, Sentleeng Lehihi, coming to us live from Gaborone in Botswana. Time now for a quick break.